Changes will soon be underway in downtown Wichita.
Today, local leaders will break ground on a biomedical campus that will be home to thousands of students and faculty. And this morning, 12 News reporter Max Dutton is live in downtown to break down the timeline for the construction and what it means for the community.
Yeah, and Felicia, while groundbreaking is happening later this morning, it's actually not going to be completed for multiple years. Wichita State has the goal of ending phase 1 construction and finishing that by the end of 2026 and then opening up for classes in spring of 2027. But take a look at some of these renderings. This will be located right in the heart of downtown Wichita, in between Broadway and Topeka, right off Williams Street. Now, the campus will be an 8-story building featuring a 3-story pavilion, classrooms, labs, student success center, lounges, and study space, offices, and meeting spaces. A lot packed into this building. Once construction is complete, though, it will combine Wichita State's College of Health Professions and Speech Language Hearing Clinic, WSU Tech's healthcare program, and the Wichita campuses of KU School of Medicine and KU School of Pharmacy, all into one big facility. Now, phase 1, which is what will open first, is 355,000 square feet. There will be 3,000 students and 200 faculty and staff members housed at the center, with planned growth down the road. Wichita State President Dr. Richard Muma explains what the project means for downtown Wichita.
It's going to also increase development downtown, housing needs, hopefully a grocery store at some point. But also what we're hoping, like the Innovation Campus, where we built that infrastructure around engineering and all the businesses have now joined our campus, we're hoping to create a healthcare corridor too that brings in that further investment.
And that groundbreaking will happen at 11 a.m. later this morning right behind me here, but there is actually already capacity, so it will not be open to the public. Guys.